is going on out there, world? It's your boy Tommy on the spot for Watchalong Wrestling, and welcome to our latest Watchalong episodic journey as we are traveling back 10 years to the day to rewatch Total Divas. This is Total Stivas, and it wouldn't be Total Stivas without my main man on the other line from Orlando, Florida. Steve, how are you doing today?
I am doing great. I am excited for this retrospective, and I'm excited to get started.
Absolutely, yes. I am as well. For those who don't know, I'm very passionate about all things 2013 WWE. I think, honestly, that's just a great year for me personally, and I think that's why I enjoy it so much. But we're doing a retrospective sort of on the Watchalong Wrestling channel of all things WWE 2013. So this itself will fit in nicely. Just coming up here on the channel, we're going to also do a SummerSlam 2013 retrospective here in the next week before SummerSlam 2023. But we'll be able to kind of unfold some of that journey here on Total Divas as Total Divas debuts here on July 28th, 2013. It starts really with the WrestleMania 29 saga between the Bella Twins as well as the Funkadactyls, which we'll get into talking about all things WrestleMania 29, and then goes through really the entire year. So this is going to take us 15 straight weeks all the way until the end of the year here. For the end of 2023. Steve, are you ready for this?
I am ready.
So what we're going to do is I'm going to, now Steve, just so everyone remembers, you are going into this completely blind. Is that correct?
Completely. To the point where even, I know of the Bella Twins, but have seen very little of their actual work, either from the show or on wrestling or anything.
There you go. Well, I will say, as we get into this, you're gonna get very familiar with the Bella Twins. They are sort of the hosts, and they are sort of not the hosts. I'd say they're the main stars of this show.
Yeah, the main characters, if you will.
Yeah. So this show kind of is a vehicle to get into really, profiling the Bella Twins. And in fairness to them, does lead to them having major storylines in the wrestling world for WWE in the years to come, and eventually has them both winning the Divas Championship, the Women's Championship, and eventually getting into the WWE Hall of Fame. And I think all of that kind of stems back to Total Divas. And so here we go, episode 1, Total Divas. Steve, are you ready to jump in?
I am ready.
So you guys can go ahead on Peacock. Just to let you guys know, we do have we both have, correct me if I'm wrong, Steve, the commercial piece of this, right?
I do, yeah. But for some reason, sometimes when I play it, the ads don't actually show up, so we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. So you let me know. I'll let you know if I'm going to commercial as well, and we'll let you all know at home where to stop and rewatch and kind of restart things as we do the watch along. But here we go, and we're gonna go ahead and get started. Steve, do you want to go ahead and count us down?
All right, and 3, 2, 1, go.
All right. So my triple zeros are there, and here we go. Already full focus on the Bellas. So, Steve, I'm going to go ahead. I'll tell you, I'll give you a little introduction to the Bella Twins as far as I can remember. I'll introduce each one of sort of the veteran divas that are a part of this show here. The Bella Twins actually got their start in WWE trying out for the 2006 Divas Search. I don't know if you remember that. They did a Divas Search.
I do remember that, yeah.
2005, it was won by Ashley Mazzaro. 2006, It was won by Layla L. And the Bella Twins started, they actually tried out for the show, but did not make it as one of the finalists. So if you go back and watch some of those early casting specials on the 2006 Raws, they're a part of it, but they don't make it to the show. That said, they both did get signed to developmental deals, and they're showing some great footage here. As we're getting started, you kind of see already some of the backstage aspects that they're showing here of them kind of living the life on all these different types of talk shows to promote Total Divas and everything to that extent. But the Bellas had been around in WWE from 2008 until 2011, and then really returned beginning of 2013 specifically for this project.
Right. So they are veterans at this point.
They're known as veterans, but I'd say I don't know how much there was really much fan connection to the Bellas, because they weren't really, the Divas division in general back in 2011 wasn't really highly profiled on WWE TV. They'd have like a 1 5-minute match here and there.
Sure.
So then you'd look at now they're introducing Ariane, who's known here as, I guess it would be, no, sorry, Trinity is known as Naomi, who you were a little familiar with. You know her a bit. She was in his tag team with Sasha Banks, left WWE right as you started rewatching last year. And Ariane is her partner. They're both known as the Funkadactyls.
Okay.
They started WWE in 2012, beginning of 2012, as the valets for Brodus Clay, who was sort of an undercard, somebody call my mama. He did like a big dancing type gimmick. No one who was really not highly profiled on the show. So I was very surprised they were involved in this as well, because they were not like the top acts of Total Divas. Mm-hmm. Ariane got her start in WWE actually in the 2011 Tough Enough. And it was one of these things where she's best known for when Stone Cold Steve Austin asked her what her favorite match was in the history of WWE. She said, Melina versus Alicia Fox, which threw Stone Cold for a loop. He was totally about gave your response. He was like, I think you said, you mean to tell me all the damn matches in WWE history and that's your favorite? And so it was very funny. And but she, despite being the first one eliminated for giving that response, does get a developmental deal with WWE, and starts showing up here with Trinity as a tag team.
Okay.
And then the last one there, Natty Neidhart, been a part of WWE 2008, and is probably the veteran that most people have the biggest connection with going into this show. She had managed the Hart Dynasty throughout all of Bret Hart's return in 2010, and obviously is the daughter of Jimmy Anvil Neidhart. And that guy might look familiar. That's John, Trinity's boyfriend. Do you recognize that individual?
Of course I do.
That is one Jimmy Uso. Usos have been in WWE now since 2010, but really not at all featured on the television show. They were big time guys who'd be on like the main event show that's on prior to Raw.
Yeah.
Profiled much going into this show, and I think this show really allowed the Usos to kind of get into who they are here.
Yeah, and I love the old Uso, like with the tribal paint and all that stuff. Like,
yeah, and so they had just started kind of dressing like that, and that's kind of what got people into them. They come out, they do this entrance, and they do this whole tribal chief dance, and then Jay would scream out, "When I say Us, y'all say oh," and then that would kind of get them involved with the crowd.
Well, it was like they used to do like the haka, right?
So what's that?
They used to do the haka when they came out. Correct.
So this here is the training facility that WWE had prior to the Performance Center. Performance Center actually launches in July of 2013. This footage, as they're showing, is 2010. I'm sorry, is about 10 days before WrestleMania. So March of 2013. Do you recognize the woman in the ring with Natty here? Probably weren't paying too much attention to her, but I'm not.
No, I saw her, but then is that? Hold on. I need to get another good look. Yeah. I was captivated by Jim Neidhart in there.
That's Jim Neidhart.
I think that's Hugh Morris.
Hugh Morris, right? Who was overseeing the WWE training at the time was Hugh Morris, Bill DeMott, and eventually was let go because he was doing a lot of hazing, kind of that old school mentality. And the gentleman on the corner there is Tyson Kidd, also known as TJ, Natty's husband, but he was wrestler Tyson Kidd in the Hart Dynasty, friend of the Harts growing up, and he and Natty kind of been together forever.
Okay, I did not catch who that was.
I am 95% sure, and let me know in the comments if I'm wrong, that is Charlotte Flair.
See, I wanted to say that, but it didn't look like Charlotte nowadays, so I wasn't sure if...
And here's Nikki Bella's boyfriend, and I'm sure you recognize this individual.
So that was one of the few things that I knew about the Bella twins. I knew one of them was married to John Cena.
And I think that is unfortunately, one of the things that really started to make things kind of draw attention to this show right off the bat was like, we're going to get kind of a peek behind the curtain into John Cena, who you'd only see on these very kind of prepared talk show segments beforehand. Now here he is giving a dip into his personal life. Nothing more awkward than Steve and I watching John Cena make out here to start. Steve, like, what did I sign up for here?
Well, okay, so correct me if I'm wrong, but this was on E, right?
Yeah.
And it very much has that E reality TV show vibe. So there's gonna be, I'm guessing, going into it, a lot of that as well.
Correct. Yeah, lots of that type of drama. Would actually air right, I believe, after Keeping Up with the Kardashians or right beforehand. So it was part of E's vlog. So they had a great lead-in. I mean, you might not like Keeping Up with the Kardashians. I'm not a huge fan myself, but it's one of these things where they had a huge following and obviously a big audience there. And Nikki and John as completely just insufferable with, with all the.
I'm trying more to just focus on his forearms because, like, they're unreal.
Touch there. So this is Ree's apartment, and she is also dating and now married to a wrestler. Before they show him, do you know who it is? Well, there he is.
It's I was trying to come up with some sort of hodgepodge of either Daniel Bryan or Bryan Danielson.
There you go. Yep, it is Daniel Bryan, who is in the midst of
Daniel.
Yeah, well, he's Daniel Bryan here, WWE.
Right. Yeah.
Bryan Danielson, his real name and what he goes by now in AEW. And he is on the verge and in the midst of the biggest push in his life of becoming the hottest babyface in WWE. And so despite being twins here, you already start to see the differences between Nikki and Brie just in who they're with. You have Nikki, who's with the company, Mr. Polished himself, John Cena, and Brie, who's here with, vegan, kind of rough around the edges, Daniel Bryan. But having Daniel Bryan and John Cena both so heavily involved in this show while they're on their way to facing off at SummerSlam 2013 was genius to pull every one of these fans who thought, why would they do a show about the Divas who are barely mentioned on TV? And a lot of people started to watch. I think, partially, I think, with it being with the Keeping Up with the Kardashians, I think that drew a lot of interest initially from that crowd. But I think from the wrestling crowd, I think knowing you'd get John Cena and Daniel Bryan featured heavily on this show every week really made for, even continued to draw up interest in the show.
Yeah. And I'm getting all these, like, with the wine and, with, like, talking about the car and stuff like that. These are very much things that I'm sure are gravitating towards the reality TV aficionados. And your wrestling fans are like, okay, but show me more Daniel Bryan.
Right. I don't need to see John Cena making out with Nikki Bella. I want to see, the intricacies of the creative meeting with Daniel Bryan getting to WrestleMania and towards SummerSlam, because that is all a part of this as well. But you'll also see Kathy here, who is the mother of the Bellas. Later on, it's revealed that she's actually in a relationship with Johnny Ace, who's the head of WWE Creative.
Really?
Yeah, John Laurinaitis. Some great shots here of New York City as they're preparing and getting ready for WrestleMania 29, MetLife Stadium. And now it says 3 days till WrestleMania. So you'll see there's Stephanie McMahon.
Yeah.
And you'll start to see a lot of the WrestleMania, everything that goes into WrestleMania. I have an entire 10-year retrospective of WrestleMania 29 up on the channel. Again, it was not at that show because my tickets were fake, but I did volunteer access for that week. So we were there all week long, and we did everything. But this kind of lets you know kind of everything that goes into being a WWE superstar during WrestleMania week itself. And you can see Natty getting ready. The big match on this show was, again, going to be the Bella Twins going up with Bella Twins, Cody Rhodes, and Damian Sandow, the Rhodes Scholars. And they were going to be facing off with the Funkadactyls and Tons of Funk. At this stage, Brodus Clay had become kind of an act that wasn't really getting over on his own. They put him in a undercard tag team with A-Train from...
because I saw the clip right in, like, during the intro or the first couple of minutes. I was like, oh, Albert.
Yep. So this clip here is the first time I remember watching this and being a little ridiculous. They are letting Natty know she's not going to be on the WrestleMania card. Natty's acting devastated.
Yeah.
Natty knew full well she wasn't on the WrestleMania card way before this. This is 3 days before WrestleMania.
Yeah, the WrestleMania is not the one where they're making last minute adjustments and stuff. Like
exactly. So that was like they're letting her know she's devastated and saying they're not doing it. The Divas match this year is going to be a mixed tag match rather than traditionally they had done like a Lumberjill match or something like a battle royal to get all the women on the WrestleMania card, kind of a 5-minute in and out where everyone would be involved. This year they were just doing that mixed tag match. So Natty's found out she's not on the show. But again, 3 days before WrestleMania, yeah, she has family coming in. They're acting like her family is coming in to see her and they're letting her down. But you know full well, Natty's fully aware that she's not on the show.
Right. And I mean, when you call up Jim Neidhart to say, oh gosh, you're coming to the show, but I know you're going to be disappointed I'm not there. I'm sure as a father, he'd be like, oh yeah, I'm disappointed. But as a man that's been in the business for so long, he was probably like, yeah, I know.
You hadn't been on the show in the 5 years previous, so what would change?
Right.
But so this is WrestleMania 29 that we're about to see. I don't know if my thing's going to go to commercial here, but
yeah, it looks like we're coming up on one. So
yeah, and they're going to also be introducing the rookie divas who we're going to get to here in a minute as well. That being Eva Marie and JoJo.
Eva Marie is a name that I've heard before.
Well, it's one of Ari's favorites.
Oh.
So
I do, in fact, have a commercial.
60 seconds. How long are you?
Yeah, 60 seconds.
All right, at least it's 60 seconds. But yeah, my wife's favorite at the time was Eva Marie. My wife, still at this point, pretty casual wrestling fan. She'd come with me to the Hall of Fame in 2013. Was not the type of event I should have taken her to. But when Total Divas starts, she's very much starts getting involved in this, and this leads to her now watching the show every week, very much involved, wanting to see Raw, wanting to see SmackDown, and wanting to go to a regular show, which is why the two of us would eventually make the trip to SummerSlam 2013, which our retrospective will be coming on for that again next week. But that really stems from her interest in WWE just soaring really a lot from seeing, John Cena, Daniel Bryan, the Usos, and all of the divas on the Total Divas show. And now we are back here on the show. So again, they're right here, primed for all things WrestleMania. Everyone flying into Newark, and it looks like this is Eva Marie and JoJo on the show. And so in the beginning, the selling point of Total Divas is more you got your veterans,
mm-hmm.
and you're also going to be following the journey of two newbies as they get involved into the business itself.
And it is so I. Kind of going back and seeing like some of the little things that I've missed here and there. Is this like before, after, in the middle of what you would call the reality era?
I think the reality era probably starts with like 2011. CM Punk gets the title, leaves WWE as he's doing that. So I'd say it's kind of in that beginning stages, out of the PG era into the reality era.
Okay.
Getting as much as you possibly can of that backstage type stuff and, everything. So there's Mark Carrano. He's in charge of, he's like a big person on the talent development side at the time.
Yeah.
John Laurinaitis, I think, actually might be out of the business at this point, but he still is heavily involved and was a big part of the scene just about a year or two prior. So that might be where Mark Carrano is now. And his role on this show is really, he's going to be the one to kind of give the talent all the updates, along with, I believe that's Jane Geddes there, who's also a big part of WWE sort of backstage. So they're going to have a little pushback about these new girls coming in. And they want to like kind of show them the ropes and welcome them as their first weekend on the job here in WWE as a part of WrestleMania. So they're kind of seeing everything before they really debut with the company itself.
Yeah, and I'm sure there's going to be some, I don't want to say like Real Housewives drama, but like maybe a little bit of drummed up.
Yep. Oh yeah, big time. Yeah. Hey, they want her to already. They're saying they don't want Eva Marie to dye her hair they want Eva Marie to dye her hair because they would like another blonde as opposed to having too many brunettes because they have the Bellas there. So they're sending her to go get blonde hair done, even though they've got Natty. So of course you're gonna have a little bit of concern there. And you can tell they're being nice, but at the same time they're a little nervous that these people are coming for their jobs.
Right. Well, and I'm sure, Natty just, being told that she's not on the show and then these new people coming up, it's.
Yeah, Natty's getting it from all sides here.
Yeah.
So you can see that.
Yeah, here's the conversation of.
Yeah, not liking that Eva Marie has to go blonde. And see, so Natty feels like already maybe she's kind of getting replaced here a little bit. She's been in there WWE now for about 5 years, which for the time, there wasn't too many other divas who were still there from 2008 as part of the show in 2013. Little did we know, here we are in 2020, if Natty's still on the show.
Right. Along with, Trish Stratus and Charlotte and.
Right. They really changed a lot of their mindset for the better. Remember, this is still pre-Women's Revolution, Bayley, Sasha, Charlotte getting up and becoming a big part of the show. So the Divas are very much eye candy and kind of bit players there. 5 days now until WrestleMania.
Yeah. So is this the Divas belt, like Divas Championship era?
Yeah, Divas Championship butterfly belt was held at least in 2013. I think is currently involved in a feud where I believe Caitlyn is the champion, and she's soon going to be defending against AJ Lee. The women's wrestlers, though, are completely kept aside from anything to do with Total Divas at the time. It's very much the people, other than Natty, it's very much people who have kind of the bit roles. This is Vincent, the boyfriend of Ariane, and he will soon become a major, one of my favorite people on the show. He is a bumbling guy. He's just all over the place. He's embarrassed.
Is he a wrestler too?
No, he's not. He's just random along for the journey. They're at WrestleMania, so he's allowed to come to the show, be backstage, and kind of go from there. So she's saying, hey, I have a lot to do. Can you take a nap? Because she needs to go and get ready for, Hall of Fame, apps, all that stuff. And he's got, twiddling his thumbs and hanging out at the hotel. And you can tell there's already a little bit of tension there with the relationships not involving the wrestlers because there are so many demands placed on the wrestlers and based on everyone else.
Oh, yeah, sure. And there's not really going to be a whole lot of other people that either are going to understand and acknowledge, the pressures and everything and the commitments and everything that goes into it, or that could sneak in and be along for the ride. I'm sure if John Cena says, oh, yeah, I'm coming to the Hall of Fame too.
Right.
It's not an issue, so if Vincent shows up going, oh, I want to be there next to her, they're like, who are you?
Yeah, get out of here. Are you kidding? That'd be the equivalent of my wife's a nurse, me showing up on the unit ready to hang out.
Yeah.
Like, no, get out of here.
Right. But if you were a doctor, it makes a little bit more sense.
Right. Exactly. So I'm not sure why she's excited, but you can tell now they're like, why is that guy hanging out backstage? Who is he?
Right. Yeah. And I missed what the drama is. Why is she crying?
Right. I think she's crying. I'm not 100% sure why. I missed that piece, but I guess there was somebody there who kind of gave her a directive that he didn't appreciate, and he's saying, no one talks to my girl that way.
Is it Jimmy? Is that who said something?
Is it who?
Was it?
Jimmy's playing it coy back there. I think it was Rodis.
Okay.
Who they're in the group with, Rodis and Tenzai Albert. I don't think it would be Albert, so probably Brodus. So they're talking about doing these dress rehearsals, and as silly as they sound, and so Jimmy's kind of trying to calm him down.
Okay.
Natty's trying to tell him, no, relax, because that could really end up.
Oh, okay, yeah, I got it here. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, dude, come on. Like, I'm sure that, there's a part of him where it's like, yeah, like I want to defend my girlfriend. I want to do all this and that, I want to make sure that, but, I want to prove that I'm as big and bad as these wrestlers. But at the same time, come on, dude, like you're out of your league.
Right. And so here you go. So Jimmy's asking what happened here. It looks like Brodus ripped Ariane a new ass.
Oh.
And so Jimmy's trying to figure out why he went there. And you can tell, too, in this, just how uncomfortable in the beginning of this show Jimmy is with the cameras filming them. He's biting his nails.
Can't blame him. Like,
he's like having none of it. Yeah. No, it's very, it reminds me, I went to a work event once, and me and my boss were kind of friendly-ish outside of work. And my wife knew that we were having some drama outside of work and showed up to a work event, kind of blew him off. And I told her, hey, I understand what's going on here behind the scenes, but at the same time, you can't give him the cold shoulder at work.
Yeah, it's tough. Yeah, definitely a difficult situation.
Yeah.
So I think we have maybe another mini commercial break coming up.
So quick story here. They do talk about, and I have a 45 second.
I have a minute.
All right, so I'll have to pause here when I get to the end of mine. But quick story about the dress rehearsal portion of WrestleMania. They do this legitimately before WrestleMania. And I actually knew about this back in the day when I was doing Access. I was trying to get tickets for WrestleMania. And I went over to MetLife Stadium, tried to get tickets a day or two before WrestleMania. And in the ring, ironically enough, was Tons of Funk and the Funkadactyls practicing their entrance because somebody who I'd kind of become friendly with had let me into the stadium where kind of you weren't supposed to be before the show. So I got to see the WrestleMania stage and everything that was involved beforehand. And I'm going to pause now. Let me know when you're off your commercial break. This story they're going to tell about that is true.
I'll give you a little countdown.
All right, sounds good.
We got 3, 2, 1, and I'm back.
All right, perfect. So we are now, here we go, in some more shots here of New York. B-roll footage on point, I will say.
Trend.
They do just a fantastic job kind of getting everything there. So yeah, Nikki Bella is upset that WWE has hired someone who looks like her. I think also because of the idea that these folks, they're just back now, fresh with WWE. They just came back right before WrestleMania to start their program for WrestleMania.
Yeah.
And yeah, Eva Marie was, for the wrestling fan, probably not anyone's favorite. But again, for that reality TV audience, it's basically what you're pining for is someone like Eva Marie.
Yeah, and it kind of almost becomes like a feedback loop where, okay, like the people that tuned into the reality TV show now want to check out wrestling and want to see her in action and that kind of thing. And
exactly.
How about let's do a compromise and dye her head red, make her a redhead or something like.
Well, Steve, that's quite an idea. That's quite an idea you have there, Steve.
Gosh, I wonder if they go with that.
Well, we'll have to see. But also her hair is not brunette in this clip. It's red. So it's like...
Well, yeah, you can see the highlights and
So it's so ridiculous. But yeah, so you can tell now, the Funkadactyls are going up here. Trinity's trying to make sure Ariane's in a good place. It's a little confusing here because they always go by their real names here, not their kind of stage names. Trinity's Naomi. Ariane is Cameron. So you'll see them kind of flip-flop a little bit. But I also love this here that they're filming this literally in it looks like right in front of the hotel. It's like a hotel lounge that they clearly are like, hey, let's set this scene up here and we'll get you guys down there.
Yeah. Well, and I've seen, and Jimmy's been referred to John a whole bunch of times like that's, and, I guess from a perspective of that's, this is one of the things that, kind of took me away from the scene for a little bit is this kind of reality TV atmosphere that they had kind of created. But, I get it for most of the time, but that's also why you don't have like, Kane walking around backstage and people calling him Glenn and
Yeah, no,
or
for sure.
There are certain superstars that can get away with it.
Yeah, you won't see Undertaker hanging out on this show at all.
Yeah, and then going, oh, Mark, come here a second. Like,
yeah, Mark walking by. That certainly is not going to happen. Michelle McCool was not going to be on this show. So now Eva Marie is making the decision to change her hair color.
Right.
She does not like the blonde idea really at all. You can tell JoJo, total kid in the that deer in the headlights look. I think she's 19 at the time, itty bitty, and just.
Right. Well, but here's the thing. In the talking heads part of it, when they go and show her commentary, she's also got like the pitch black raven hair. So.
Right. So I might be getting another commercial break here in a second.
Yeah. And
they're going to get ready for all things WrestleMania. WrestleMania 29, not a very good show, if I'm being honest. How long is my commercial break's 15 seconds. How long is yours?
Let's see. I got another minute.
Another minute. So
I'm making up for all of the other commercials that we were skipping when we were watching Tough Enough.
Yeah. So WrestleMania 29 kind of built. So basically, they built WrestleMania 28 around a once-in-a-lifetime match between John Cena and The Rock as its main event. WrestleMania 29 main event, John Cena versus The Rock. So it was really twice in a lifetime. They'd done it once in a lifetime, and then they naturally got to WrestleMania 29. Kind of twice in a lifetime there. I do think I've always kind of looked down on the show because I didn't get in, so I think I had sour grapes on it. We came back and watched it. I think that there was nothing on the show I was like, this was amazing. I think everything down there, now that I've gone back and watched some, like Undertaker CM Punk have the best match on the show. But I will say it is an unbelievably visually appealing WrestleMania, one of the best sets they've ever done, with the New York skyline actually built up specifically to finish up everything and then kind of go from there.
Yeah. So, all right. And I'm back again. We can count it down.
Okay. Oh, you're back. Okay, let me know.
All right. 3, 2, 1, go.
All right. So we are back, and they're showing now that Eva Marie is deciding to go, as Steve had predicted, to go to red. And, she wants to go full red here. Yeah, JoJo weekend. Now, I will say, if this were real life and WWE had given you a directive to go and get yourself dyed to a color, and you decided not to follow this directive and do something completely different, this wouldn't have could cost you your job. You'd be done.
But my thing is, like, it made the most sense because, again, from her perspective, she's not going to want to do one or the other anyway. Like, you don't want to stay brunette and be just another brunette. You don't want to go blonde and just be, another blonde. Like, a lot of times you want to stand out anyway, So I think this is the best move for her anyway.
Agreed, 100%. I think that's why I think initially that was the idea. But then they decided, hey, before you dye your hair, let's make it a little storyline for Total Divas. That's why.
Wait, you're telling me that wasn't an on the cuff decision? And
no, I don't think so, at least. But Eva was too. I mean, very, very much in line with everything cool. You've heard her mention Rihanna. You've heard her say she's fire. So she was somebody who, immediately was involved in pop culture.
Yeah.
Jane not having any of this decision here. And notice that's the first person she sees too. Yeah. Jane's waiting for her right off the elevator.
I love that's that passive aggressive corporate there. What happened to blonde?
Right, exactly.
I thought we agreed on blonde.
Right. That's so you're growing your hair out means get to the barber as quick as possible and cut it up.
Right.
Yeah. So they love the red, and they're fine with it, but they said it worked out well this time, but in the future, they would never love the red because, in all honesty, if they were already building up everything for you to come in as a blonde, they'd have all the merchandise, the figures, they'd be building everything around having this new blonde character. And if you went off the cuff and did something like this, you'd immediately be, immediately not welcome in. But I will say, her being all red everything gave her a character right off the bat. It made her one of the most over WrestleMania 30 weekend when this show's already now up there for, 6 to 9 months, it made her one of the big, people that folks would look up to, people who were into, and she couldn't wrestle a lick. So dyeing her hair red really did a lot to buy her some time. Eventually, people grew tired of it. But I know I mentioned my wife, they were having absolute, she loved the all red everything. It's pieces there. So you can see they've made WrestleMania now this, so much bigger. This is at Cipriani's in New York City. I had done New Year's just the year prior to that and was trying to get Ari and I into this red carpet special. P. Diddy hosted this event, and it was like a deal to kind of build up for like a charity type deal. They did a welcoming party to kick off WrestleMania weekend. Wow, this is very cool. I don't remember seeing this at all, but I've done many New Year's at Cipriani's with my wife. First time, that's Steve Tisch, owner of the New York Football Giants. The lousy team there. And it's just every big celebrity out there. And, this was really, you think about it, New York City, The Rock, John Cena. What else can you ask for? A huge celebrity event to get things started here. And here they are right here. Great way to start the build for this Total Divas show by having everything, all three. And, of course, everyone wants to talk to Eva Marie because she's the new girl in town with the big red hair. And that's the sort of line they're going. And the Bells are trying to get them drunk so that they could ruin their time before they even start.
Right. Total, mean girl MO.
Yeah. But yeah, I remember trying my best to figure out a way to get Ari into this party because we had just done Cipriani's for our first New Year's together. And was unfortunately not successful in attempting to do that venture. So I'm sure we'd fit in with the elites there.
Yeah, of course.
So this is now, it looks like day before WrestleMania. And it's interesting seeing all these places in New York City. I've never been to that place, but I know Ari used to sit here, watch the reality shows, and write down all the places to try.
I mean, yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah, I'm sure that's why they actually do these types of things where they show the footage, the picture of where they're eating, because I'm sure they get a free meal here and to come in and film for free in exchange for showing off the place you're going to.
Yeah, and again, that is just reality TV 101. From just a blanket, whether it's Real Housewives or, Keeping Up with the Kardashians or whatever. Like, they always do the B-roll footage and shot of the restaurant and where they are and stuff.
Yeah. So here comes one of the big prevailing themes of the entire Total Divas, Total Bellas saga. It is the idea that Nikki Bella wants to get married and have children. And John Cena has no interest in either because he's recently divorced. He doesn't want to get married again. And he does not have time for children. So they are waiting, and they're sad. She's having a hard time with this because she loves John, thinks he's perfect. But the only thing that holds him back is the idea of how far can their future go together.
And so at this time, John is still 100% in WWE, or is he part-time yet?
He is going into this. He's going into this WrestleMania 2 main event and go for the title against The Rock.
Okay.
But WWE is starting to see that the window is winding down here for John. They start to look toward the future as to who that new guy could be, who's going to be their new face of the company. And in thinking about that, this actually ends up, even though John Cena would be in and out of WWE pretty much full time, I'd say, until around 2017. And then from there, pretty regular until 2019. But this ends up being his final WrestleMania main event that they're gearing up for.
Interesting.
Yeah, I don't think they knew it at the time, but all right. So give me a countdown here, and then we will go ahead and press play.
Okay, so I'm at 32:03, and we'll go in 3, 2, 1, go.
This is now day before WrestleMania, and you've got Trinity walking backstage as they're still uncovering the saga of the idea that her boyfriend was backstage and getting into it with getting upset that Brodus had kind of come down hard on Trinity, on Cameron, Ariane. Yeah. There's not enough names.
But I also feel like it wasn't that big of a thing to make this big of a deal of.
Right. Vinny's acting like, hey, we walk down the street, someone says something nasty. Whereas, who knows what Brodus said here, but it might have been like a coworker coming down with some feedback to somebody else.
Yeah. Right. And the other thing is, like, if you want it to simmer and let it go, then you don't talk about it still.
Right.
And
right.
That's the whole thing where the what was going on was, let's not talk about it. Let's let it simmer down and all that stuff. That's what Natty was trying to do.
Yeah. And she here, Ariane, is starting to say that it's unfair. Naomi or Trinity would not be able to understand because her man works for the company. So it is different, obviously.
Yeah.
But you kind of knew that when you started dating someone not in the business,
Right. Because it's the other thing of, if you got John and Brutus that either know each other and have a history, or they don't, or like even if they just know each other, like it's a different kind of dynamic where you can go up to this guy that you kind of also know and you have a different rapport with him versus the guy that's on the outside.
Yeah, no, for sure. So John and Nikki now getting lunch, now getting dinner. Now this they're saying is day before WrestleMania. I'm thinking no chance this is day before WrestleMania. You figure day before WrestleMania back in 2013, you had the Hall of Fame. John Cena always had the big entrance that he would go and do the rehearsal for the actual entrance. And now here, Nikki's going to have him go day before he wrestles The Rock at MetLife Stadium.
Yeah, he's, he's not having wine before, like,
right.
From that kind of perspective of like, you need to be in top physical shape. You're not going out to dinner. You're going to have something that isn't going to upset your stomach, that you're not going to have a bad time later on in the ring or something like.
Yeah. I know, and they've already established this is going to be a major thing between them. They're talking about now. She doesn't understand, if you really love the person, why wouldn't you marry them? He's saying, I would never want to do this again. I will never get married, and kind of laying it out. And this is something you'll see with John here, that he's very much protective over the way he wants things done. He's a little rigid in his ways, and meanwhile, Bryan and Brie are going out doing ring shopping. Nikki's seeing this and certainly getting a little unhappy and jealous seeing all this happening, knowing that it'll never be that way, at least at this stage with John.
Yeah.
I remember it being a real big surprise, at least for me. I had no idea John Cena was going to be part of the show. I had no clue he was there with Nikki Bella. So for me, it was pretty surprising. A lot of nostalgia here. WrestleMania, they're doing a good job of showing kind of that tailgating that comes with WrestleMania. It really does feel like a major football event as opposed to a wrestling show.
Oh, yeah.
And it's become such a big event now that it's 2 days, but obviously back in 2013, just the one day. But look how beautiful it is. The skyline there with the Statue of Liberty. This is the final WrestleMania before the network. So the final WrestleMania that was a standalone pay-per-view.
Before it was called a premium live event.
Right. Way before. Right. So I still get that confused. PLE. PLE instead of PPV.
Yeah. I don't know. PPV always just rolled off the tongue better. Personally.
Right. I agree. I get why they do it, because technically you're not paying for it.
Well, yeah, because isn't pay-per-view like an actual like brand?
Yeah. So they're already showing that the different stars that are there. So Daniel Bryan was still in his tag team with Kane named Team Hell No.
Yeah.
And teamed up against Dolph Ziggler and a very young Big E.
Yeah.
Tag team title match on the show. So they're showing, these guys backstage getting ready for their match, watching Brie's boyfriend at the time. Also showed Natty up in the box with Eva Marie and JoJo, so she's kind of on making their experience early with the company a good one at WrestleMania. And at WrestleMania, I can tell you that the private box suites usually are reserved for wrestling talent and their folks, family members. So there they are. I will say they definitely look like they are preparing for a match. I mean, they're in full gear, ready to go. Sandra becomes a very big person on this show. She's the seamstress for WWE. She just recently retired and has been working actually for AEW these past couple of years. So they did a going away party for her.
Interesting. But that was always one of the, like, I'm sure there's an evolution of, guys that like, where you have that professional seamstress and all of that. So I'm sure like back in the day, it was just whatever you showed up and like you had to, if you ripped something, you got to fix it yourself or something.
Absolutely. Yep. And they're basically saying that as we're getting to our final commercial break here, mine's for how long is yours?
Let's see. It is another minute.
All right, perfect. So we're both on the 60 seconds there. But so they're basically showing that, Cameron, Ariane, is having a wardrobe issue. Mm-hmm. And so they're scrambling around to try to get the seamstress ready, and she's doing everything she can to get the gear ready. And as the bells walk by, they say, hopefully you won't go out naked. So they're trying to show that they're really feuding backstage before they're. And now obviously they're getting ready for it. And their match was supposed to be the big come down match at WrestleMania. This typically happens when some of the big match in between some of the bigger matches. So WrestleMania 29, you had your big Cena Rock match, Punk Taker match, Brock Lesnar Triple H match. This match here, a quick little match to throw people in there. So if they need to go to the restrooms, you need your come down match. It's there, but it's kind of like the popcorn match, so to speak. And here you can see there's really cool entrance there with Punk.
Yeah.
And panic is setting in. They're trying to get everything together.
And Heyman was with Punk at one point?
Heyman was with Punk, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, for a number of years, actually. CM Punk was the number 2 Paul Heyman guy because Brock didn't have a full-time schedule at the time, so they still wanted something to do with Paul. You see the Super Bowl.
So sometimes the more things change, the more they stay the same.
Very true. You're right. You can see the Super Bowl stuff back there because the Super Bowl was held at MetLife Stadium, I think, in 2013, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And so they start getting really excited for everybody. The way they're building this up, you are led to believe at least that they're right there, ready to go out there.
Right.
And instead, it's John Cena's music. And clearly, at the time, I know that I for sure made a wisecrack about how they were going to main event WrestleMania with the Bellas, Cody, Damian Sandow, and tons of funk. But clearly that is not the case. Instead, their match has been cut. This actually has happened a lot during WrestleMania. If they've got a big 10-man tag match or an extra match that's been thrown on, they've moved it to make up for time quite a bit. And clearly that's what happens here.
Yeah, but like I would get it if it was TV. But again, like pay-per-view, like you could realistically make that run as long as you wanted it to. Like why?
Well, for pay-per-view, no. Back in the day, pay-per-view, they used to still do, back in the day, pay-per-views, you used to still have to get
like a tight, like 3 hours, 3.5 hours, whatever it is, 4 hours.
Right. On the network, different deal. They would have just absolutely kept going. And they would have squeezed the match in there, much to the chagrin of the very exhausted live crowd at this stage. But pay-per-view, no, they had to be off the air. And so that is how Total Divas will end here. And you'll see next week the drama will unfold as they basically are going through the idea that due to live TV, they had to, anything can happen, anything can change, cards subject to change. And instead they had to, kind of work through things and make sure everything was, good there. And they were obviously crushed. And you think about it, they're thinking this is their first WrestleMania match, the first for both of them. Oh, I think the first for the Bellas and Brodus. Hell, maybe even Tensei. I'm not sure he had a match. No, he did. He did have a match at WrestleMania 19.
Yeah.
Albert and Big Show against The Undertaker. But
yeah.
A rarity for these guys to even be on the card. And clearly, if there's a match that's going to be sacrificed, it's going to be that one.
Yeah.
But there we are. Are we already now? I think we've. Oh no, okay, we're still on the same thing. So yeah, they're showing that, how devastated they are that, they got cut. And it's interesting for us as a fan. I don't think anyone there that night was going home and saying, "Hey, that really sucked. I was looking forward to the Brodus Clay match." But that's the biggest payoff of the year. You get your biggest money at WrestleMania. Maybe they were still taken care of, but you want to perform on that big stage and. don't ever, Ariane never gets the opportunity to do so in the future. So it's really hard.
Yeah, it's a great opportunity to be on that level. But yeah, no, I can't imagine how crushing it would be.
Yeah, so we will wait till next week for a tango with Fandango. We'll hear lots more about the change here of WrestleMania, and I will tell Steve, and you'll be introduced to the character that was Fandango as we get ready for our next episode. But Steve, what were your thoughts here of the first episode of Total Divas?
I think that it was a lot of what I was expecting it to be.
Yeah.
Where it was a little bit more heavy on the reality TV stuff and, the stuff that you kind of have to play up on in that respect. But, I'm sure I will be more invested in the storyline as the episodes continue.
Yeah, no, it's, I think it does. It really does. It has your two aspects. You have your reality TV show track, and then you have your wrestling fan track. And it certainly is a different deal there. For me, the things I always found the most interesting are the backstage stuff. I love that. So I could eat that stuff up all day of seeing backstage at WrestleMania. I could just watch it forever. As a vlogger here, I'll even watch other people's vlogs just to see what their experience is. So to see the wrestling experience and to see kind of the magic there, I really enjoy it. But, you can't help. And I know at the time when I was watching this show, I wasn't doing it like we're talking now. Even though inside I was dying going, oh my God, this is so ridiculous. Clearly Natty knew she didn't have a match at WrestleMania. I'm watching with my wife, who's very involved, doesn't know the story. So for her, she's thinking that's true and saying, wow, it really sucks. I can't believe they're not going to put Natty on the show. Meanwhile, it's like, she's not usually on the show. But I wasn't telling her that while watching the show.
Right. Like, you have to think, what storyline was she possibly involved in that would have led up to that particular circumstance having, but I guess, I don't know.
And Cody Rhodes at this time, he had been on the previous, been involved as the, kind of in Randy Orton's pack at WrestleMania 25, the second to Randy Orton. So he had a big role in the main event of WrestleMania 25. Then he had a match at 26, 27, and 28. So he had a match set aside for him at 3 consecutive WrestleManias, which if you consider, Dolph Ziggler had never had a singles match until WrestleMania 36. And he'd been with the company length. So Cody was kind of a profiled performer. So I remember they had a big situation that came up where he was on like an interview or something in a podcast. And he said, the match itself may have not been WrestleMania worthy, but I think I am WrestleMania worthy. And so that kind of started the seeds there for, him not getting to the level that he felt he needed to get to as a WWE superstar at the time. That would inevitably lead to him leaving 3 years later in 2016 and becoming the Cody Rhodes we all know and love that I don't think he becomes if he stays with WWE that whole time.
That's an interesting point. Yeah, I think
you can see, even though he's a part of that match, he's not even talked about at all. You would have no idea he was a part of the match unless.
Oh yeah, no, I didn't know unless you said something.
Yeah, so very interesting look back here, and looking forward to diving into episode 2 with you next week right here on the channel. We'll continue to do these every single week, the same day that the shows were coming live. So I guess it's going to be every Friday for us, even though Total Divas traditionally was on Thursday. Let me double check on that. Yeah, it'll be every Friday morning here on Watchalong Wrestling. You can expect to see Total Stivas going over the same episode 10 years later, the same day that it aired on E. It'll be right here, Watchalong Wrestling, to rewatch these with you. Steve, I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a really fun and exciting rest of the year.
I agree.
All right. Well, thanks again, everybody, and we will talk to you again real soon on Watchalong Wrestling.